Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about the teaser trailer that came out for Agatha All Along. If you haven't seen it already, I'll include a link to it in the description. But really quickly, I really like the tone of this trailer. It gave me very like comedy horror vibes. There definitely seems to be levity to it, but I think it's also interesting how it also showcases like this very like dark, spooky side of the MCU we've seen every once in a while. It definitely gives me like Werewolf by Night type of vibes, because even that kind of had like comedic elements to its horror and stuff. But it kind of like, especially on like the more darker side, it kind of reminds me, if you've seen the show Hellstrom, I know it's not like MCU canon, but like it's a Marvel show, but it kind of gives me Hellstrom vibes, and a little, just a tiny bit with some of it, it kind of gives me Legion vibes, when Legion kind of had its horror moments. It's not going to be nearly as abstract as Legion. I'm sure it's going to be a lot more straightforward, but I mean, I'm also probably basing that on like, well, Aubrey Plaza's in it too, so that probably like leads my mind to think even more Legion in that regard. But I thought it was so interesting when the trailer opens and she's a Agatha is a homicide detective. I was like, that's interesting. That's definitely, I mean, at least, I mean, we didn't get to spend enough time with the character that Wanda left her as, but I was like, that character didn't scream like hard-boiled, you know, homicide detective. So I thought that was interesting, and like the body, and especially the way it was dressed, I was like, isn't that supposed to be? And it turns out the body's supposed to be Wanda's, and Aubrey Plaza's like, oh yeah, like you're here trapped in the spell she like trapped you in, because I don't know, obviously the show's been on hold for a while, so I don't know, canonically speaking, where in the time frame it's taking place. Like, how long has it been since WandaVision? Had they moved the dates around to kind of reflect this is coming out in 2024? But obviously, like, once again, the MCU timeline's still like a couple years ahead of us because of the blip and everything. So I'm curious to see, I mean, whether that's significant or not. Probably won't matter, because it does seem like we are still dealing with the same town that WandaVision took place in, because we see Deborah and not Deborah Ann Williams. I was about to say Deborah Ann Williams. Sorry, is it Deborah Jo Rupp? We saw her, and she's one of the townsfolk from the town. So like for her to be there, I don't know if she's necessarily a witch, but like I said, like the town's here and what has happened in this town. I guess we'll get a little catch up of like how the town's been dealing with things post Wanda, you know, because Agatha's the only one that was under a spell in the aftermath, and people were there when Wanda put her under a spell, so everyone's just like, yeah, we're just gonna leave her as is. And how does that work with Agatha under this spell in this town? And like, does it affect other people? Or maybe she left the town and because the whole point was she was supposed to be trapped there, so did other people move out? There's so many questions. It's a teaser trailer, we're getting so much stuff out of context, but you know, sitting here thinking about it too, I was like, what else can I compare this to? It definitely kind of gives me like it's that like Hocus Pocus vibes too, in a regard. I'm sure that there might have been some level of inspiration in that regard, but it seems so wild and weird and like Exorcist-esque elements, like I say, like especially leaning into like the comedy horror of it all, and it just seems like it's just going to be kind of like a spooky fun ride. I think word had already come out recently being like, oh yeah, this show's going to be probably one of the darkest things in the MCU, and it kind of feels like with some of the stuff we saw, it definitely seems like it's kind of reflected. Once again, teaser trailer, a lot of stuff out of context, but I'm really interested to find out Agatha's story. You even had one of the witches be like, oh, what witch in her right mind would join Agatha Harkness? And it's like, yeah, if I remember correctly, she killed her whole coven, including her mom, and her obsession with power, because she kind of has zero power now, so she's trying to form a coven. And I'm curious to see what that journey is, going from villain to maybe anti-hero would be like her story in this regard, and you know, how much she will grow, how much she will change, how much will she stay the same of who she's always been, because she's been not Agatha for so long, and now trying to get back into yourself. Like, once again, the whole thing of her having to literally tear herself free from the spell, and how that shape shifted and changed her, and she's even in black and white, like a lot of the characters she played during WandaVision, because she's kind of being torn through the spell in that regard. I just thought that was kind of neat how that was depicted. I don't know the validity to this, but there was also the thing of like the guy that's with them. There was word, I don't know if that's been confirmed, or I think it's just a rumor and theory that people had, that that's supposed to be Wiccan, one of Wanda's kids, just older. It's the one who is the son who has powers that are closer to what Wanda's are in the more magical sense. I'm also curious if it's going to cover any of Agatha's past, because we got a little bit of Agatha's past, just that little bit with her coven in WandaVision, but I'm curious to see if they'll dive more into that in this, or will it all just be present day moving forward? Am I confusing it with some other show that I was here? Like, this wasn't like, I mean, they started off with like the whole like detective murder mystery element of like, oh, this dead body and who is it? That's part of the spell, I guess, but I'm curious. Maybe, like I said, I feel like I might be conflating this with some other show. This isn't a show that's gonna be like a murder mystery, is it? I don't remember if I heard that about this show, or am I thinking about another show that might be like a murder mystery? I don't know if I'm conflating this with a different show. That's why I'm wondering like how much of that's going to play into the show. Like maybe that's not Wanda, maybe it's someone else, but they're kind of represented like Wanda. But that might have just all been for the purposes of trying to snap Agatha out of like the trance and spell she was under. It is kind of interesting, and I think that's probably the parallel they're going for with like making this a parallel to WandaVision, where Wanda was responsible for her whole circumstances, and Agatha kind of took advantage of that circumstance, and now it's like, well, here's Agatha stuck under Wanda's spell, and I'm like wondering, well, in the MCU, we don't know whether Wanda's dead or alive. It's kind of implied like she's still alive, potentially, but how does Agatha feel like now that Wanda might be gone? And I wonder, is that what allowed her to kind of break free from the spell? I mean, it's not like Wanda had to be around to keep the spell active, but I'm still curious if like Wanda potentially out of the picture in whatever capacity that may be, whether it's death or whether it's just something else, maybe that played a role in why she's able to like pull out the spell, or maybe it's just like sheer strength of will now that she become aware of it. Just kind of like when Wanda became aware of everything, you gained more control, right? I'm also curious to find out who's the main villain of this series. I'm curious, is it going to be like Aubrey Plaza? Probably not. She's just maybe, I'm curious what role she's playing in this and like what her connection is with all of this. I don't fully know what to expect from the show, but the teaser really delighted me, so I'm very excited. I probably won't watch the full trailer when it comes out, just to keep as much of the show a surprise to me, but it's just giving a feel and vibe. I think they did a really good job setting the teaser trailer did a really good job of setting my intrigue. I was already interested to begin with. I know a lot of people had their reservations about it, but me personally, I've always been interested in the show, and this teaser trailer just got me that much more excited. But obviously, these are just some of my thoughts about the teaser trailer. Love to get to know your thoughts in the comments down below. What you think of the teaser trailer? Has this changed your excitement levels for the show when it comes out? What are some things you expect from the show? What are some things you want to see from the show? Just let me know all your thoughts in the comments. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.